NAFCON, National Alliance for Filipino Concerns, we are a alliance of different Filipino organizations in the U.S. From different backgrounds, health organizations, different nonprofits, media organizations, and a lot of our campaigns is for many low-wage immigrants.
The Filipino Migrant Center, we're a member organization of NAFCON. We are a nonprofit based here in Southern California. We provide services and programs for low-income immigrant and migrant Filipinos. And we've been around since 2010, so we are celebrating our 13th year of serving the community here in SoCal.
And FMC and NAFCON are both part of the bigger Stop the Hate campaign. You know, we need all hands on deck because this is such a big issue that affects many people, you know, different categories and all that too. Can you tell us your work with Stop the Hate?
Yeah, so we actually launched our particular campaign that is covering the Stop the Hate issue. It's called Justice and Accountability Campaign. In that campaign, we supported the Roque family in their case. Now we are supporting an elderly couple who was attacked in Sacramento, Nikki Ariola and Julian Ochenko. And part of it is also supporting, in 2020, supporting the family of Angelo Quinto. And so it is recognizing that there are different hate incidents that are happening in the community, but how do we give hope to the families to know that they are not powerless and there's a community behind them that will help them fight for the justice that they deserve, but also for them to feel that there's also change that can happen in this situation.
We have to clarify this to our viewers, right? If you've experienced a hate crime or a hate incident, you can report. You have the right? And you can get help. And that help comes in the form of what? Mental health. What other help can we provide them?
In July, FMC and NAFCON, we launched an emergency services fund. This emergency services fund is really meant to help community members immediately as they are waiting to access different types of services through government entities. And so whether it's, you know, to apply, you know, for application fees, whether it's to help with housing or to address food insecurity, these are all things that we want to be able to distribute these funds very quickly because you can't tell a community member, can you wait 6 months, right? So we want to be able to help that.
Right, because they're already traumatized, they're already hurting. Mental health needs to be addressed, and then plus physical, like having food on the table if they're having to miss work, right? And if there are injuries involved, medical concerns as well.
Even with our senior program, we do a lot of you know, health education. We do exercises every Saturday morning here in West Long Beach. But they were really moved by the case of the Roques. And one of the other lessons that we learned is how do we meet community members where they're at? Because it is difficult for our seniors to make it, you know, on a weekday morning to sit for a few hours in traffic to a court case. But the outreach and the education and talking about the issue with their neighbors and raising awareness is also a contribution that they had to the campaign. And so regardless of what age or even physical ability, there still are many different ways to contribute.
So basically the message is hindi ka nag-iisa. Kung nakaranas ka ng hate incident or hate crime, hindi ka nag-iisa. Because when you share that experience, FMC, NAFCON, there's a lot more organizations and also friends and family can help, right? Karen, ano maipapayo mo if we can speak in Tagalog?
Yes.
Para malinaw sa mga seniors din natin, no? Anong maipapayo mo kung naka-experience? What's the first thing that they do? Who should they call and what to expect? I guess that's, you know.
Yes, yeah. So, sa ating mga kababayan po, kung kayo ay nakaranas ng iba't ibang discrimination or hate incident or hate violence, unang-una po, there's a lot of resources. The Stop the Hate Coalition, marami pong resources. You can call LA versus Hate. There is a hotline 211 also that you can call to report the crimes, but also kung hindi po kayo komportable, marami din pong iba't ibang organisasyon na pwedeng tumulong sa inyo. So, the Filipino Migrant Center, pwede po kayong pumunta sa aming website, filipinomigrantcenter.org. Meron din po kaming hotline, nandun po sa website. So, pwede niyo pong puntahan, and from there, we can do an intake at pwede po namin tulungan kayo sa kung saan po kayo komportable, kung anong aksyon na gusto nyong gawin. Pero wag po tayong matakot dahil alam naman po natin na pag tayo ay nagkakaisa ay magkakaroon tayo ng hustisya. So wag po tayong matakot at nandito po ang mga iba't ibang organisasyon, hindi lang po ang Filipino Migrant Center at NAFCON. Napakarami pong organisasyon at iba't ibang community member na gustong tumulong. So know that malaki po ang suporta na ibibigay sa inyo ng ating komunidad.
Ayan, narinig niyo po yan. Para dun sa mga mas komportable, minsan pag tayo may nakaranas ng ganon, and we feel comfortable speaking in our own language too, di ba? So para ma-express niyo po yung sarili niyo ng mas maayos, pwede po kayong tumawag sa NAFCON at Filipino Migrant Center if you would like to express yourself in Filipino, right? But Romeo, as well, paano nyo pinapayuhan yung mga nakaranas ng ganun? Because I know that some of them don't want to publicize, for instance, their story. And we understand that. But at the same time, on the other end, we also want to publicize stories like this para ba mawala na yung stigma ng pagre-report, and at the same time, for other people who may have experienced it to know that they're not alone.
Yes, I would say for people who might be hesitant to share it on a wider scale, as a community organization, we completely understand where people are coming from, and we will work with people to work in the different ways that they want to approach the situation. And I think that's very important for organizations to not dictate how community members want to respond to an issue. But then at the same time, we would also want to encourage people to share how important it is to share our stories. Because it's, what we saw with the Roques sharing their story is that many more people felt and saw like, hey, we're not alone in this. We experience the same thing that many other people are experiencing. So just again, that you're not alone in this, and that we will work with you however you want to be able to respond.
I think it's important to have different, various forms of how they can tell their stories, which is why within Filipino Migrant Center, we launch a documentary, Liwanag, actually, that talks about the experiences of the Roque family. That's a very brave way to tell your story, right? But then we also launched this project called Kwento Ko, where community members could share, whether written, verbal, or other types of ways that they want to express what happened to them. But the point is for us to share that these things are happening, and that we want these stories to also get out in the community, whatever form it is, whether it's audio, visual, or written. And so we're continuing to gather community stories and how they have experienced discrimination, but also how they choose to speak up.
October is Philippine American History Month, and it's sad that, after years and years and years of Filipinos being here, down to this year, 2023, we're still experiencing these types of incidents, these types of crimes. But what's also encouraging are there more and more people like you guys and more groups like yours that help the community. So thank you for the work that you do. I know it's not easy, right? What are some of the sacrifices? Personal and as a group, or
I mean, yeah, there are definitely sacrifices involved, but at the same time, I think the time that we give is, for me, I don't look at this as a 9 to 5 clock in, clock out. It's something that I really stand with the people, and I'm touched by their stories, and seeing people become empowered is the inspiration that keeps me going. And so, you might make some sacrifices here and there, but ultimately it's for the betterment of our people and our community.
Right, Karen?
I think for me, especially as an immigrant, nasa dugo na natin talaga yung magbayanihan, yung pagbigay ng aruga sa ating mga kababayan. And so I feel that it's very natural for me, and it breaks my heart to see a lot of migrant workers be treated this way, because I see my family, I see a lot of people who have sacrificed their lives in the Philippines to go here, but also be treated this way, right? And so I think for me it's not more of a sacrifice, but it's really a passion, right? Not just I guess not just a passion, but it's very natural, and parang natural sa akin na you would really want to help, because you know that these experiences could happen to your family. This is not the first time Filipinos or Asians are being discriminated, but we know that in the Philippines they've experienced job discrimination, which forced them to move here, and then now ganito yung mga inaabot din nila. And so I think it's only right that we all come together regardless of our beliefs, but to really come together to protect also each other.
I love that. I think the word that we're looking for also is investment. We're investing our time in this community, so that in the future, maybe our children won't have, or that our children's children won't have to deal with these things that we're dealing with right now. What is your wish for Filipino American History Month moving forward?
Wow. Just that more community members will come out, just to come out to the different events. For example, FMC, we're hosting an adobo cook-off on October 14th as a way to celebrate our achievements and the community work, but then also bring people together through food, which is a very big part of our culture. And then the other wish that I would have for Filipino American History Month is that history is taking place now, right? It's not just something that's happening only in the past. Like what Karen was saying is that there are workers who are, speaking out against wage theft. We see all the different strikes that are taking place across Southern California. So just that history we're making history as we speak.
Anything to add, Karen?
Yeah, I think that's the same. Let's support, the history that we have as Filipinos is very rich, from the Delano Manongs all the way to also people who really have fought also for Filipinos to be recognized here in the US. And there are, like what Romeo said, there are modern day Filipino Manongs and Manangs that are continuing to do that. So let's continue to celebrate our contributions, but also really continue to support their cause.
Right. And just to tie it back back to the Stop the Hate, right? The Stop the Hate campaign. Just because it's not happening to you doesn't mean that it's not going to happen to you. Or just because that it's not happening to you now doesn't mean that it's not going to happen to you ever, right? And so I think you're right in saying that history is now. We're making history. We're working and building this community together. So thank you for all that you're doing. We hope we have inspired you as well to be involved, also to maybe find your voice if you've experienced any sort of hate incident and crime as well.